What's up, Cerebral football fans? My name is Steven Hyder. This is Gate City Sports Center. Gate City Sports Center, huh? Gate City Sports Talk. And today's topic, all right, man, we're talking about the defense this time around, guys. I want to go ahead and I want to, number one, help you guys through a common complaint that I see, a question, kind of like some of you guys who are trying to learn how to study film and stuff like that. A lot of you guys are like, hey, man, it's incredibly time consuming. Like, how do you find enough time to sit here and sort through all these different, tapes? I mean, it takes forever to get through like all 22. I mean, it's hours and hours and you got to keep replaying it. I'm going to give you a few contextual clues that you can use, guys. Take notes during the football game. Okay. Make sure you have notes during the football game, that you keep notes on stuff, right? The other thing you can do, guys, to speed up your process, if you want to review all 22 film, and I'm going to show you some of my process today, is know how to use play-by-play, guys. Go to the play-by-play to go back and find exactly where in the game something occurred. So then when you go to your all 22, you can kind of get to that possession, you can get to that drive, and it narrows down the window and the amount of time you got to spend watching that. Now, if you're really going to get into this at some point, you should watch the totality of the game from the 22 angle, but those are things you can do to kind of quickly accelerate the time, crunch that you have to do that. Especially if you guys, I know a lot of you guys want to become content creators. I've talked to quite a few of you about it. I know a lot of you guys always, you think about doing that and you would love to be able to use 22 film. That's how you do it, guys. That's the tricks of the trade. So just to show you a quick application of it, today I'm going to take you through a particular possession. I'm going to take you to that possession to where Green Bay kicked the field goal towards the end of the game, to where Jordan Love had to throw the ball out of bounds. I'm going to take you through the framework of like how I got there. I'm going to break down what I saw from the 22 for you guys. I got some plays lined up. With that said, I am not monetizing today's show because I will absolutely get strike for it. Because even though I am legally within the bounds of what I'm doing, I'm not trying to fight the freaking NFL, bro. It won't work. They'll win that fight, guys. So, they'll just tie it up in courts with money and it'll never reach a court. So, sometimes you can write to them and they'll take mercy on you and they'll take it down. But I don't feel like fighting them, guys. We'll just roll today without monetizing it. All right. All right. So the first thing you got to do, guys, when you're trying to find this is you need to figure out what play you were looking for. I already told you, look, I'm looking for the one that was towards the end of the game. They kicked the field goal, but in that possession, they had an opportunity to, this was off of a turnover. They had an opportunity to really do damage there. And essentially what happened was we had a goal line stand in that area, well, red zone stand, if you will, and they ended up throwing the ball at the back of the end zone. Jordan Love did, which brought on the field goal unit. All right. With that as the basis of what I'm looking for, I'm going to show you real quickly, guys, just how you do this. I'll share my screen with you and I'll show you exactly what you go to and how you find it, guys. All right. So I'm going to present my screen. I'm going to share it for you. And I'm going to share ESPN's coverage of the Eagles and the Packers. All right. So you guys see all this? If you look, I'm going to scroll up for you. Okay, guys. If you come up here, you'll see you have the tabs. You have the game cache, you have the recap, you have the box score. The box score is where you can find like all your information from the game. So you can find like, your player stats, all that kind of stuff, right? You got your team stats here. This is a good thing to look at. So that way, if you want to know what happened on third down, right? We weren't very great on third down in this game to an extent. You can come here and you can see third down efficiency, 3 of 11, 4 of 14. You can kind of see those numbers, and then you can go back to the film and look at those third down plays. All right. For the play that we're talking about, I want to go to that series where they missed a field goal towards the end of the game. So I'm going to go to play-by-play, and I'm going to go all the way down until I get to that late field goal area, okay? So we can see right here that they kicked the field goal on a 10-play drive, 79 yards, 5 minute. It was a 5-minute drive in total, right? So if I scroll down, I want to look and see if I find that play. So let's come all the way down here till I see 3rd and 5 at the Eagles 8. Jordan Love passes incomplete, short middle of the field to Romeo Doubs. Moro Jamo got a pressure on him. That's the play I remember. That's the play I've recorded in there. So I know that I need to be in the fourth quarter and I need to be around that like 10 to 12 minute mark. So you see 12 minute, 53 seconds in the fourth quarter. It will help you guys to go up to the last play, which was the interception. Go to the interception and work your way backwards. So that way it's easier to locate this, right? Because there's not timestamps on this anymore. Back in the day, they used to actually have timestamps, guys, but made it easier to seek this information out. But this is how you do it. This is the secret sauce that a lot of us don't reveal to people, but it's this simple. Honestly, if you would have asked any of us one-on-one, my guy Eagles Eric on Twitter, he's got his own channel here on YouTube. Like if you ask any of us that do film breakdown, we would have told you one-on-one. It's just that we assume that people know this, and then we realize later on, like, oh, we might be kind of hoarding this information a little bit. Perhaps we should kind of share that. All right. So let's go, man. Let's jump into this and let's talk a little bit about what we saw from the plays. All right, the first thing I want to show you is, you know, we had that discussion about overhanging the edges. Do you guys remember that discussion we had where we talked about like bringing Zack Baun down, right, and overhanging the edges? And then last week I was saying, like, you know, it would be interesting if they took a guy like Josh Sweat, or they took a guy like, you know, Bryce Huff, and they stood him up when they overhanged, you know, if you overhang, you know, a player like Zack Baun, or if you overhang Nakobe Dean, or if you overhang Devin White, whoever you overhang there, then you take the edge and you kick them and you put them upright. They didn't do that, but they started off with the look like that. But then they put his hands in the dirt. They put Josh Sweat's hand in the dirt. And that caused the problem. I'm going to show you the problem. You'll spot it really quickly. But they did use exactly what we were talking about, except for they didn't stand him up, which I think could have mitigated some of the problem there. They didn't quite stand him up there. But share screen again, guys. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't share. I might not be able to do screen. Let me see how I can pull this up for you guys. Let me go to present. And I should have some video files. Let me see if I can't find my video files on the desktop. All right. OBS recordings. Well, I'm not getting my OBS recordings, bro. Hang on, guys. I'm trying to pull these up. It's a little difficult when you work on these, unfortunately, because they don't want to always work with you. It's okay. We'll go right into the actual playbook. So we'll go right into NFL. So I'll share the screen there. It would have been easier if I could have pulled it up in video file, but for whatever reasons, it does not want to pull up in video file. So it is what it is sometimes, guys. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Oh, here we go. I can pull it up through OBS recordings this way, I think. Okay. So I want to play this guy. All right, guys. It's going to take you through. Let me move it up. All right. You see the interception, right? So I'm working back from the interception. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to slow the speed down to 0.5. All right, you see where they're overhanging Zack Baun down on the bottom of your screen. They were standing Josh Sweat up, but now they put him back down, and they overhang Nolan Smith on the other side. But look how light this side of the line is. You got, you know, Zack Baun, and you got, you know, Josh Sweat, and they doubled to Josh Sweat. Now they're kicking up to the corner. Now you got this huge run. Okay, I wanted to show you that so that way you could see they did overhang here, guys. They did exactly what we talked about. They were overhanging the defense there. Let's go back. I'll show it one more time, guys, so you can see that a little more clearly. All right. So I'm going to pull it back so you can see it. There's the interception. That's how I locate it and find it, guys. So that way you can do the same thing if you're doing, you know, your own breakdowns. All right. So watch the movement from the linebackers and all this here in a second, guys. It's about to switch over. All right. You'll see here comes Zack Baun walking down on the line of scrimmage. Josh Sweat standing up. This is what I wanted to see, but then he put his hands down in the dirt. Now they're going to do this orbital motion. That's Jaden Reed on an orbital motion for Green Bay. They're just trying to draw the eyes of the defense to see if we're playing man or zone. Now they doubled to Josh Sweat. They're going to work up to the second level out here to Quinion. And this is it's a big run. But we see the creativity here. It's just they caught us in the right play. This is just, you know, Vic Fangio being smart, trying to utilize his guys the right way. But at the same time, like the other guy gets paid too, right? They got a good coach out there in Green Bay as well. And they just kind of like they worked it out to where it made sense, guys, right? So you can see they take Zack Baun, they bring Zack Baun down on the line of scrimmage. After they bring Zack Baun down on the line of scrimmage, then you get those subsequent proceedings that happen, right? Like you'll get Josh Sweat's originally standing up over the B and C gaps. Then he put his hands down in the dirt, which I think is a mistake because it just makes you really light. I think if they had stood him up and made it more of a disguise kind of thing, you may have forced them to maybe try to throw that orbital motion out to the flats area. But we'll see. I mean, to me, it does look like there's an option to that. That's what it looks like to me, but it is what it is, guys. Like sometimes there's nothing you can do. You know, you just kind of have to roll with the punches. You got to roll with how things go in terms of the play calling. Heads up play from the coaching staff, heads up play from Jordan Love. They saw the undersized line to one side and they attacked it, man. All right, guys, let me try again. I'll see if I can. So it didn't show you guys. Give me a minute. I'll go back to, let's do a shared screen. All right, we'll do NFL Plus, and I'll share it from NFL Plus, okay, guys? Because it was showing for me. Let me go back and see if it's showing for you guys. All right, it's showing on my screen for you guys, Steven. I see it showing personally. But I'll go back again, and I'll show it again, guys, all right? So let's play this out. All right, we're going to maximize the screen. All right, watch. Here comes Zack Baun. Zack Baun's moving down on the line of scrimmage. Josh Sweat's over here standing up. Okay, now he's going to put his hands down in the dirt. They're going to run an orbital motion with Jaden Reed. All right, they're reading us here. They're going to double to Josh Sweat. Then they're going to kick up to the second level. You see that Zack Baun gets blocked out too. He gets sealed off by the tight end. Boom. So that play has everything we talked about, guys. And I'll back it up for you again in another 10 seconds. All right. So here you go. Zack Baun's up on the line of scrimmage. They put Josh Sweat's hands down. They're going to double to. That's the orbital motion. They're going to double to Sweat. Boom. They're going to kick out on Baun here. And then they're going to work up to the second level and get on Quinyon. And then there you go. Nakobe catches it from the backside and brings him, kind of walks him out of bounds here. All right. So running down the play, guys, and kind of like what it's showing you and what you have here. All right. All right. What you have here is what we talked about earlier. I said that, you guys were asking me, like, how could you get certain guys on the field, right? You were saying, like, a lot of us were kind of struggling, like, how does Devin White fit? If he's not a starter, like, how does he fit on the defense, right? I mean, sure, we can say that he's just a really good luxury backup, but he doesn't provide special teams production. So that would tell me, like, even as a backup, if he's not providing you special teams production, there has to be a role for him, right? And we were trying to theorize what the role would be, okay? And then eventually what we came up with was this idea that what might happen is they might overhang. We talked about overhanging Zack Baun like they did with Kaiser White. When Jonathan Gannon was here, they would overhang Kaiser White from time to time. And then, we talked about, like, the Van Ginkel role, what, they did last year in Miami with Van Ginkel underneath, our defensive coordinator. We talked about all that kind of stuff and like how that might fit. Then you can play Devin White off ball if you wanted to, or he could be the overhang, all those kind of things, right, guys? Like all that kind of stuff could come into play. And it's kind of what we were looking at on that play. Now, I will say they were undersized and they were undisciplined there. Like Josh Sweat's not used to taking on, two guys on the interior like that. Like that's why I wanted him to stand up where he could use that athleticism to beat him. He could have split that double team real quick. I will say for Zack Baun had a really good game, but that was not the greatest look for him. Yeah, he did get kind of turned and he got kind of blocked out on that play easily by a tight end. He's got, as an quasi edge guy, he's got to win that a little bit. But overall, I'll take him getting kicked out on a run play here and there with what he can do as an off-ball linebacker combined with what he can do as an edge player. Like, guy's pretty good, man. I mean, no one's going to be perfect, right? You're not going to get a free agent for the value we got Zack Baun if he's the perfect, guy. Like, there's going to be some given, take there, right? Another play I wanted to show. I don't know if it'll pull up, guys. I will do my best to get it to pull up. If it doesn't pull up, just tell me in the comment section, guys, and then we'll go back and I'll pull it through the difficult way. But let's go to desktop. Let me go to my OBS recordings. Okay, it won't pull up that way. So let me try to pull this by opening the file. Okay. Now, let me go to present. NFL Plus KSF is where you can get it, sir. NFL Plus. So NFL.com, but NFL Plus is the package you get. We're going to share the screen, guys. We are going to go to Windows, and we're going to go OBS recordings. Okay, boom. It should be this second guy here. Is it just showing you guys the folder, or is it actually showing? Yes, see, it's only showing you guys the folder. I get it, guys. I get it. Hang on. So I wonder if I can go to stop sharing, present, share screen, Windows, media player, share. Now I think it'll work, guys. Okay. That was a lot of a roundabouts, but we got there. All right. let me back this play up, guys. All right. I'm going to slow this play down a little bit because we're zooming here. All right. Now we're playing. Look, you can see here, we're playing that regular front here. You got a 2-eye, you got a 3 technique. All right. Boom. Look at Nakobe Dean shoot this, right? This is a 4-man front, and watch how they defend the run from a 4-man front. I'm going to give you the down angle here. We're going to get the line of scrimmage angle. I believe I gave you the line of scrimmage angle. Either that, I'm going to have to go back in here again. I thought I did. Yeah, I did. Hang on. Let me fast forward for us. All right. Boom, 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 boom. We saw that angle. Here you go, guys. All right. So here's the line of scrimmage angle. All right. See Nakobe Dean at the mic. Boom. All right, watch him come through and shoot this gap once he sees this play develop. All right, and this is a 4-man front. We're in nickel. We're in a 4-2-5. All right, they had a lot of eye candy there. There goes Nakobe Dean shooting that gap and shutting that thing down. That is encouraging to see. You guys asked me earlier on, you were like, yo, what is one of the biggest concerns from the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of like what, in season defensively? And I said, yeah, the youth and inexperience, of course, that's a problem. However, we've got to prove that we can stop the run from a 4-man front, because even in the preseason, I noted that one game in Baltimore, the preseason game, to where, they got a really good block on Jordan Davis, kind of kicked him out of there. And then we immediately had to go out of a 4-man front and start jumping into 50 fronts to basically counter that. Now, I will say that was with Devin White. That was with, Zack Baun. That wasn't with Nakobe playing there. You can see how instinctual Nakobe Dean is in the run game. This is one thing that, like, even when not everybody, that's not a fair assessment. When a lot of people were giving up on Nakobe Dean, that's why I kept saying, like, I get the injuries are a concern, guys. They scared the crap out of me too with him. But, like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that dude is not a really instinctual, like, run defender. Like, he gets it in the run game. He understands exactly where he's supposed to be. He misses some tackles, and I think that's partially why he got graded so lowly. But you guys can see here, Mr. Sandman's bringing in a point where he says, the motion changed the man responsibility. Before the motion, Sweat had the outside contained. The motion made Bond take the running back man-to-man. But you could see, like, immediately, like, kind of like how they adjust it from a 4-man front and how effective they're being in terms of, like, being able to actually stop it. Hey, Mr. Sandman, I need your opinion on something. We're going through some of the film that I have here. I want to show you a play, and I want to get your opinion if you think it's a layered pass rush, okay? To me, it's in between. I think it's a layered pass rush, but I also could just be, because I know the affiliation to, Pete Carroll, and I know that Clint Hurt coached with both Fangio and, Carroll, that I might have the expectation. That might be why I'm seeing that. So I want to get your opinion when we get there, if that's exactly what I'm seeing. All right. You guys heard about the creepers concept, right? About leaking one of the edges out into coverage and all that kind of stuff. I got it queued up for you guys so you can see exactly what it is. All right. Well, I got to go through that whole process again, though, of getting everything pulled up and played. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything kind of pulled up and get it ready to start playing. And let me see. I think I'm on the right spot here. Boom. I think I'm on the right spot. Let me check real quick, guys. Just want to make sure that I have everything in the right. Yeah. This is the right one. Okay. So I'm going to reverse this back. Hang on. Before I pull it up on the screen, guys, I want to get everything set up because I'm going to slow the speed down for you guys so you can see. All right. So now I'm going to pull it up on the screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. We're going to go to share screen. We're going to go to Windows. We're going to pull the video player up. All right, guys, y'all ready? Let me make sure that it's playing for you guys. Yep, you guys are good to go. All right, let's play it. So, creepers. Creepers concept means one of your edges. So you see Nolan Smith is kind of towards the top of your screen or to the right side of the screen. And then on your bottom, you got Brandon Graham here, right? Your creeper concept is when that guy kind of carries with a tight end or a running back or something. He goes out into the flats basically to cover guys. Sometimes he could even fall into like the hook, or he could fall into like, there's different areas you can fall into. Like you can have different coverage responsibilities, but it's generally into the flats, if you will. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. All right. So watch the top of your screen. Watch Nakobe Dean up at the top of the screen. He's the guy that's going to creep. Look, watch. Boom. He locks up on the tight end. All right. He starts semi-booting. And here comes Nakobe Dean leaking out. Right? He's creeping. That's a creeper concept. You guys see it? That's the creeper concept. They dump it off to the running back. And then my guy, Zack Baun, cleans it up. That's your creeper concept. I'll run it for you one more time, guys. I'll give you both angles. All right. So I think this is it. Alrighty. Let it just play. It's gonna show up for you in a minute, guys. Okay, here's your wide angle. All right, watch the top of your screen. That's going to be Nolan Smith. All right, they come in motion. Jaden Reed's going to kind of come across underneath that tight end, and they're going to try to slip that tight end out. I think that's Kraft. I want to say is their tight end there. I think it's 86. I'm not overly familiar with their personnel, guys, but I think that's Kraft. Zack Baun cleans it up. I'll give you guys one more look at the under. So when you're looking at the under, guys, the line of scrimmage view, you'll see that it actually becomes a 3-man. It's a 3-man pass rush at the end of the day. Well, it's technically 4. Well, no, it's 3. It's 3. It's 3. It's your 2 down linemen, and it's Brandon Graham, I believe, is your only pass rushers on this. And look at Milton. Look at Milton Williams, man. He was going for the back. But if Milton got his head around and saw that that was a booted action, Milton could have really made this a challenging play. Because Milton Williams was all over that, man. All right, guys. We heard that concept talked about like all through the offseason, this creeper concept. We played it with previous coaches. Guys, this is not the first time we played a creeper concept. This was played definitely early on when we had, Jonathan Gannon here. People were freaking out about like, we would drop Hassan Reddick from time to time. I will say, though, that Vic plays way more creeper than Gannon and Desai did, even when Desai was here. I think Desai was a little bit more prominent with it than Gannon, but still not quite to what we're probably going to see with Vic. Vic plays a lot of creepers, so that sounds really wrong, but the creeper concept. He plays a lot of that, guys. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go back to – I got to go back to the game footage, guys. Give me 1 second. And underneath the game footage, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this to get to that last play. I want to see if you guys see what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a layered pass rush. This is the play where Maro Jamo shakes free, gets a pressure on Jordan Love, and then the ball gets thrown out of the back of the end zone. I thought Moro Jamo actually had a really good game. Kind of a quiet guy that no one's really talking about, but I thought he definitely had a really good game. All right. So here we go with this play here. Bring him in motion. It's the same play. Sorry, guys. I'm fast forwarding through the footage real quick. We're almost there. And this is the play right here. All right. So let me go back. All right, let me pause it. It is slowed down. And we're going to share the screen again, guys. Now, just for real quick, for I throw it up there, if you guys are wondering what that concept is called, what I'm talking about when I say if they layered their pass rush, essentially what this is an attempt to contain the quarterback in the pocket, okay? So you're going to have one guy goes high. To me, it looks like Nolan Smith is the high player, and one guy goes a little more shallow. And that guy's, he's the opposite contained player. So you're containing on both sides. Now, hopefully you can knock them into the guy, into the pass rush to stop them from moving the pocket and scrambling out. Or you can backside chase. So if they go, right, then, your left end is going to chase. If they go left and you're, vice versa, guys, is going to chase. Kind of how it works there, all right? That's layering your pass rush. It's a containment strategy. It's how you can contain. All right, we're going to go to NFL pass. Plus, sorry, not pass. Let me maximize the screen for you. All right, and play. Not this play here. This is the Jordan Jacobs run. Or Josh Jacobs, my bad, guys, run. It's after this play. Alrighty. Okay, so you see Graham's over here. Smith's here. Smith, I think, goes high. Graham, I think, goes a little bit lower into the running back. And then Moro Jamo shakes free and gets pressure. Watch. Boom. Okay, into there. See him going higher. I think Graham at one point goes for it. And then you get the throwaway. All right, I'm going to give you the end zone angle to watch that again, guys. To me, it's a little iffy. I think this is still, I would call this a layered pass rush. You're going to see Nolan's going to take a higher path. Brandon Graham starts to take a higher path after he goes into the back, but that's because I think he saw an opportunity to get to Jordan Love. To me, this looks like it's layered. You got a top and you got a bottom player. You can see as they go past each other. To me, it looks like a layered pass rush. All right, stop sharing. Boom, you guys got it. So I'm curious if Jalen's in the chat. My guy, Mr. Sandman, my guy, Caleb, you guys that play collegiately along the line, defense and offensive line, you guys, I'm really interested to see what you think there. To me, of course, my expectations are I'm looking for that Carroll, influence. But it does look like a layered pass rush to me. It looks like they layered it. It looks like they took Nolan Smith purposely with intent high. They took with intent Brandon Graham lower, and they were basically trying to keep Jordan Love in the pocket. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like that was absolutely a layered pass rush. But these things are a little subjective sometimes, guys, to be quite honest. It can be a little subjective here. I'm just curious what these guys that played along the line, what they would think. From my eyes, as someone who played at the quarterback position, It looks like, I would expect that that's a team trying to layer their pass rush on me. That's how I would read that personally. But I'm curious how those guys read it. What's up, Antonio? How you doing, bro? He says, yo, what up, Gate City? Teach, brother, teach. Appreciate it, man. My guy Joe coming in says, good morning, y'all. Please remember to hit that like button. Hit it as hard as Zack Baun hitting the ball carrier. Thank you. Hey, man, Zack Baun. Zack Baun is an awesome name, bro. He needs to market that for real. Get that trademark for himself. I saw the review from Baldinger for the end zone INT. You were right. Hurts read the play well, but AJ slipped. It would have been a touchdown. Hurts just likes to thread the needle. Yeah, I mean, we can make arguments, KSF, if he should have made the throw or not. And I mean, traditionally speaking, from how we teach quarterbacks, when we're coaching quarterbacks as quarterback coaches, we tell them not to throw across your body. However, I understood what he was trying to do. You got a playmaker. You see his hands up in the air. You're trying to say, like, okay, my guy in the end zone on a jump ball, I trust my guy to go get the ball, but he slipped. I'm not justifying, but I got where the thought process is. I'm just saying, like, I understood Jalen's thought process. I'm not justifying the decision. The decision was still risky no matter how you shake it. But I understood where he was going with it. Okay, I got my guy. His hands are up. I know that this guy's going to eventually get back into play, but I got a jump ball with AJ. I'm going to take my 50-50, shot with AJ on a jump ball. He slipped, lost his footing. I mean, it's tough, right? Because on one hand, KSF, if that play works, we don't hear nothing. Nobody's saying anything. When it doesn't work, of course, it's going to be brought to light. It's going to be scrutinized, and people are going to critique it. You know what I mean? My guy Joe said, Coach, you made a great point that we all tend to forget. The other guy is getting paid too. Exactly. Simple, but extremely important to remember sometimes. Yeah, like Green Bay, I don't know much about. I knew Halfley as a college coach. I don't know anything about him as an NFL coach. I can't really grade or judge his performance as an NFL coach yet, but he was very well thought of in the college ranks. And he did a pretty good job down there in Boston College with the defense. But yeah. Some Black Ninja said Zack Baun needs to be signed to an extension. Yeah, I hear you, man. KSF says, where can I get all 22 footage? Also, how do I start coaching? It depends on the path you want to take in terms of coaching, KSF. 22 footage is easy, man. The 22 footage, you just go to NFL.com, sign up for NFL Plus, make sure it says that you get 22 film access. You want to make sure you're getting the coaches film. Because they have different plans. So you want to make sure you get the plan that has the coaches film in it, and then you'll have access to it. It comes out like normally. Sometimes it's out as early as Monday, but normally it's out by Tuesday. With that said, in terms of getting yourself started in coaching, that one's a little bit more difficult. I can explain to you my path towards coaching, and then it's up to you if you want to follow that same type of path, man. I started off coaching Pop Warner ball while I was in the military. At the time, I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. I was, attached to the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. And while I was attached to that ship, we were in dry dock. So we weren't deploying anytime soon at that point. I did end up doing a world cruise when they commissioned the Reagan, but that's a separate story. But while I was there, I still have my love for football, man. I wanted to be involved in football. I knew that a collegiate career was not going to happen. So I did the only other thing I could do, which is to coach it. And I started off coaching in Portsmouth, Pop Warner ball. That's out in Portsmouth. While I was out there, some of the guys I was working with were like, yo, you seem to be, really into this coaching stuff. You're a young guy, a military guy. Do you want to start working camps and setting up drills for these dudes? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I told the story before, but one of the very first camps I ever worked was out in Virginia Beach, and it was a camp that featured Percy Harvin. I was setting up special team drills and stuff like that for Percy Harvin in that camp. Mind you, not responsible for coaching Percy Harvin. I was literally just to go get the cone boy, but that's where I got my start doing that. After that, I coached Pop Warner for a little while. Then I started teaching. When I started teaching, I made my way towards coaching middle school football and then into high school football. Started off just basically coaching wide receivers and defensive backs. From coaching wide receivers to defensive backs, they started getting me working a little bit more one-on-one with quarterbacks, which then led me into basically taking over kind of a quasi coordinator position. A lot of schools, they don't really have true coordinators per se. We'll name somebody in figurehead, but normally it's kind of a joint thing. We all kind of come together to form the playbook and stuff. But I started off basically coordinating for head coaches that were essentially offensive-minded head coaches, but they would use me to kind of help them build upon their offenses, if you would. I did that for a while. Then, I just got a little bit older. I wasn't that old, for a football coach. I was quite young, but it's a wear and tear, man. I had opportunities to scout for a few different, um, FCS schools that they came and just basically were looking for people that would go scout for them from the high school ranks. I'm like, hey, can you go to this region and watch these players, and can you give us a report on this? And I did a few of those. I worked for a couple of small schools that are around the area I live in. Um, Obviously, some of you guys know that I live in Greensboro, so one of them is a predominantly African American school. It's an HBCU school. Um, Outside of the stripes that are on the lines, I was definitely probably the whitest thing there, to be honest, guys. But I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot from it. I got around some really great football minds. I got around people who taught me a lot. Um, and it was definitely a pretty cool experience to be able to do that. And then I also got a chance to work with a private school that's an FCS school. That's not a big school. They're not a really big program. They're not a great program. They're up around they're Elon is where they're at, but they're in like the Burlington area. I got a chance to do a couple things for them, nothing serious. And it got me involved a little bit in scouting. And I had a decision to make because I could have potentially worked my way into a college program as a coach. And when you start coaching, you definitely will play a role in scouting. That's definitely a part of what you do. But I got a taste of what it's like to be on the road, KSF, as a scout. And at the time, I had just gotten married. I didn't know that we were going to end up with kids. That was kind of a little bit of a shocker. But nonetheless, like, you have to make decisions because it is a time commitment, KSF. Scouting is not an easy job. It's not a thankful job. Like, if you recruit somebody who's really, really big, congratulations. The whole world knew about that. That's what it's perceived as. You'll get credit if you get, if you pluck a guy who turns out to be like a low 2-star, 3-star, you're trying to be a really good player that, they don't make in the NFL. Of course, you're going to get your props for that and you'll get noticed. But if you really want to work your way all the way up to the pro game, you're going to have to write NFL front offices. You're going to have to sharpen your resume. Producing content won't hurt you. It'll help get your name out there. But you really do need to make the decision on the time commitment. I love football, KSF, and for me, it wasn't for me on the time commitment. It's a lot to commit to. You can ask any of these guys who play college ball that are in our comment section. They'll tell you why they probably decided to maybe not go into coaching and scouting. Like it's quite the ruckus, man. I got friends, KSF, that I knew. At the time I used to, like, before I was teaching, I was managing security over the Raleigh Marriott City Center, which is downtown Raleigh. And, my military experience and stuff like that, they were like, look, we'll bring you to do this job, great paying job, great benefits. Loved it while I was there. It wasn't ultimately what I wanted to do. So, I left it. But while I was there, I got to meet a lot, because there were some seasons to where NC State was building a hotel on their campus. So they were staying actually inside of the Raleigh Marriott City Center for home games. So they have to actually stay, in a place for a home game. It's a weird rule they have there, guys. So they would actually stay with us. And while I was there, I ended up employing a couple of guys that were former players that were like working up through the intern program. I put them to work part-time for me as security guards. And I got them working in banquets and stuff. And while I was there, they got me involved with, like, they would have to move those ice tubs, by the way. Like, they would have to set them up inside the pool room and stuff like that, like, to get ready for the games and stuff. I can tell you an interesting story there, guys, to where I had a full freaking tub with ice in it, which, believe me, if you don't know how heavy that is, a guy like me is not moving that. And I had this guy who was a former linebacker for NC State that became a strength and conditioning coach, so asking me to help him lift this and carry this to the elevator, the service elevator, to take up to the third floor and put it in the pool room. And I'm like, I don't know what you think I'm capable of, but I'm not that strong. With that said, like, I got to know those guys that were working in the strength and conditioning program. And they did their internship through NC State. And then that internship led them into the Baltimore Ravens organization. And then from there, they got hired out to college programs. And I know that they were going through it, man. Like, I still kept in touch with them for a little while. And they were definitely going through it with the strength and conditioning program, which isn't even coaching and scouting, but they're responsible for making these, like, programs up for the players that they follow. And they don't just do the main sports, guys. So they're not just assigned to just like football or basketball, like the money sports. Right? They're assigned to, like, gymnastics. They're assigned to, like, everybody, soccer, like baseball. They're assigned to everybody. They got it. They're in charge of everybody, essentially. And if you're the coordinator, I should say. And that was a rough job, man. I remember those guys being a little burnt out. And then I was like I was kind of chasing this dream to where I might also move up into the college ranks and become, an actual coach on staff for the college rank. And then, have that background in recruiting. But then when I kind of got some friends that were involved in it and like, they were just like, yo, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it, man. Like, dude, you would do so much better with like just making a sports talk show and utilizing your knowledge that way. That's ultimately what I did after I got done coaching. But yeah, man, it's a tough road, KSF. I'm not trying to discourage you from doing it. If you want to do it, go for it. I'm encouraging you to go for it. I'm just trying to be realistic with you that the time commitment, do it while you're young. I don't know how old you are, KSF, but if you're in your 20s or before your 20s, that's the time to start getting involved. Like, you don't want to be in your 30s where you're starting to have all these responsibilities and you're trying to work your way up the ladder into these organizations. Like, oh my God, it would be painful. It would be really, really painful. I mean, it would be hard to have that work balance between your home life and your work life. Like, you have to really commit yourself, KSF. It's tough. But if you just want to coach high school ball, man, just coach Pop Warner, get your teaching license. You don't even have to have a teaching license, by the way, to coach. A little secret, KSF. You don't. Half the guys that coach here in the state of North Carolina that I know, they're former NFL players, man. Willie Parker Jr. and all those dudes are coaching up in Wake Forest here, man. Torrey Holt, Willie Parker Jr. There's a few of them that are on the Wake Forest Roseville staff, like, that are former NFL players, man. Like, so those dudes, they ain't got no teaching license. Like, I mean, obviously, you don't have that as your background, but there are other guys that don't have that as their background either. They just played on the high school teams, or they played collegiately for a little bit, and then they got involved in the college game. I went through the other route to where I got my teaching license. I was teaching social studies. And that's how I got involved with, I had the previous experience, coaching, and that will matter, KSF, to your pay, because the more experience you have as a coach, it slides your pay scale a little bit. Now, I don't know how it works contractually, KSF, if you're not a teacher, but as a teacher, the pay is not as great as you would think. I was teaching and coaching in the 2010s. The last year I coached officially would have been 2019. In 2018-19 season, I think I was making an extra like $6 something a month on my paycheck, is all that was to coach. So just keep that in mind if you're teaching. I don't know how it works if you're not a teacher. I'm sure there's some contractual things that go on, and maybe you get paid, maybe you don't get paid. It probably depends upon the size of the school you're going to coach at, all that kind of stuff. So you'd have to dive into, I don't know how it works on the outside world. I could probably ask some people for you, but I'm not sure how that works. And by the way, KSF, to this day, I still get faced with questions of going back and coaching. I'm facing a question now if I'm going to coach baseball or softball. I've coached baseball just as much as I've coached football, to be quite honest. And my niece is a softball player, my niece that lives with me. And, there were some questions of whether or not her softball coach was going to come back. Their baseball coach ended up dropping out. I know a lot of the boys that play on the baseball team for her middle school, so I might end up back again coaching middle school baseball. I don't know. I don't know if I want to commit to it, to be honest, KSF. I'm kind of back and forth on it, but like, it's hard when you families and the kids. It's really hard to say no, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a time crunch, man. Make sure you're committed to it, man. The motion change, the man responsible. Oh yeah, we read that one. Yes, sir. You're right, DJ. You got it, Mr. Sandman. Good morning, brother. Happy Victory Tuesday. I think the pass rush will get home quite often on Monday night at home. Carter and those guys are going to feast on Kirk. Coupons. He don't move the pocket. That's for sure, man. U2's most wanted. Gay City, do you feel Zack Baun and TJ Edwards got a similar game? Who do you think would have fit in Fangio's scheme better out of them two? I don't think TJ Edwards is like a pass rusher. So I don't think he has the versatility that Zack Baun has, but I see your point in terms of zone coverage. Neither one of those guys are ideal in a man coverage situation, but when you're putting them in zone coverage, even though one played the Mike, the other one's playing the Will spot, I think their dropbacks and their instincts in zone coverage are pretty similar. I think they're both pretty good at doing that. So like, in that respect, I think you have a point there. In terms of who would fit better, I'll just go with Zack Baun because Fangio, I think, is the person who picked him. You know what I mean? But to say that, I mean, it's not like, it's hard to really say because it's not like TJ Edwards available for him to be picked. You know what I mean? Like, he just got the big contract the year prior. So it's hard to say. It would have been interesting if Fangio was here, if TJ Edwards would have stayed, if Fangio could have convinced him not to go to Chicago, being a guy who coached in Chicago himself, Fangio. So yeah. DJ said the play action caused Graham to read run, so he crashed down. Smith didn't read or see anything on the play action because the tackle went straight into his pass blocking set. Did you ever scout a player that really developed in the NFL? No, I had an opportunity, ironically, to scout Landon Dickerson, and I didn't take it. I was asked to go do it, and I was going to go do it, but then something kind of popped up with my family, and I couldn't go. Ironically enough, one of the content creators in the Philadelphia Eagles community, I would have scouted him, which is Philly Jim. I would have scouted Philly Jim because Philly Jim was high school teammates up in Hickory, North Carolina, outside of Charlotte. Up in Hickory, he was high school teammates with Landon Dickerson. So I would have actually been able to scout Philly Jim before we had ever known each other, which would have been interesting and kind of funny. Eagles have a lot to work on, but that's to be expected with new coordinators. I really think it's just a matter of time before they start playing as a unit. DJ said, when I played college football, the athletes that were smart at watching film, the coaches would ask them to become interns. Yeah, exactly, DJ. When their football careers were over, most kids don't go professional. 1,000%. You're right, DJ. It's a very exclusive amount of guys who get to, even step onto an NFL field to be cut and never maintained anywhere, right? I mean, it's still very, elite and exclusive company. I can tell you that when I tried to walk on at NC State, bless my heart, because I was retarded for thinking I could do that. And I got to tell you, man, when I got up to that level and I saw what was out there, I was like, no, absolutely not. Like, no way. Like, I'll be done for life, bro. I'll be doing these live streams from a wheelchair. Donkey Butter says, Gate City, do you think we're gonna bench N'Kobe Dean when Devin White comes back? I mean, it's an interesting question, Donkey Butter. I don't know. To be fair, I mean, it's not like I had the insight to that. Like, like I know anyone on staff that could give me the answer to that question. I thought N'Kobe played okay overall. It was a little up and down. I think he's really instinctful in run defense, man. I think N'Kobe he sees it. I don't know. I don't know what the preferences are. I think N'Kobe's still growing in terms of his ability to cover in zone, like zone coverages and stuff. And I think man coverages, he's a little iffy. I think Devin White gives you a little bit more in man coverage from an athletic standpoint, but he's not spectacular in coverage either. I'll leave that on the coaching staff to decide. My gut instinct, though, Donkey Butter, to just give you an answer, like, I know I'm copping out a little bit here. I think N'Kobe's going to remain the guy right now. I don't think they're going to make that switch yet, but we'll see. I mean, I don't think it's guaranteed either. I could definitely be 1,000% wrong there. Thank you for sharing your coaching journey. I am a youth football coach myself. This is my 9th year coming off a championship season. North Jersey, Cliffside Park, Ridgefield, Royal Raiders. What's up, John? That's awesome, bro. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I miss it sometimes. I was telling Philly Mike from the Philly Talk podcast, he was asking me, do you miss coaching sometimes? And I told him, like, this time of year when you drive past the fields and like you see the middle school and high school practices, or if you see a Pop Warner practice, like, you pick up that scent of the fall air, the scent of the grass. Like, it hits you sometimes, man. It just gets in your blood. I don't know how to explain it, but like, it's just something that gets deeply rooted in you. And like, there are times I miss it, man. Like, those are the times where I confuse myself and I think I want to coach again. And then I start thinking about like how free my life is right now and how easy it is to do whatever I want to do. The fact I don't have I don't have a son, I don't have a young kid. My nephew isn't quite old enough to play football yet. My other nephew is a basketball player. So like, I haven't really been put in that position to where I would have to, do that yet. But yeah, man, it's definitely something that it still haunts me to this day at times, man, where I'm like, I kind of want to get back into it again. I was watching Philly coach's film room, and the host explained the reason why Devin White and Baun were always getting most of the snaps is they are cohesive together and can read and understand emotion. And Devin White is more technically sound than Dean. That's not what I saw from the film in terms of run defense. Now, I don't know in terms of like when you're getting into like drop sets and stuff like that. Devin White to me is slow. He's slow to read it in the run game. But when you get into like falling back in the coverages and stuff, I mean, he's been in the league for 6 years. I don't think he's spectacular at it, but you know what I mean? Like, he's probably ahead of N'Kobe Dean there. in terms of the footwork, in terms of dropping into the depth correctly, especially in zone. And he's more athletically gifted in terms of picking up a guy in man. But we'll see, man. I mean, they got a decision to make when they come back. I mean, thank God it's a decision I ain't got to make. Dante said, "What's up, Gates? Seen the title and want to apologize to Zack Baun. Definitely slept on him. Yeah, man, he's a good player, Dante. Yeah, he's I think you and I were talking on Twitter when we first made that signing, and I told you that he could be used in that. I think you were the first person I told about that. Like I thought that they might use him in that Van Ginkel role. And then you were like, what? You know what? Now that you said that, and that's the way that his role could be. Even you said like that kind of changes my mind about things a little bit. Good morning, Steve. I gave Jalen a C grade, and we still put up 34 points. So I believe points is going to come. I need a D line to step up, and I'm giving 2 games again for the edge rushers. Or, yeah, Raj. Then I think if you're a couple games into the season, 2-3 games into the season, and you're not generating pressure outside of Vic scheming it up, and bringing some kind of either replacement blitz or some kind of an overloaded blitz, then yeah, I think you got a problem there, right? I mean, then you probably have to think that the Eagles would be inside the trade market at the deadline. Doesn't guarantee that they would pick somebody up, and it's got to be availability for the right price. But yeah, you know what I mean? And Joe said, quarterback, I had you at middle linebacker or a fullback, laugh out loud. No, I'm not built like that at all, man. I promise you, I'm not built like that at all, Joe. No, I was an option-based quarterback, sir, back before it was popular. We're talking late 90s, early 2000s, sir. I played a little offensive end as well. Offenses back in the day when I played, you didn't run a lot of these spread concepts in terms of the receivers. We weren't running 3 wide receiver sets and things like that. But yeah. And I played defensively. I played a little safety. The athletes that have a shot at getting drafted spend all of their time working with agents and doing workouts for scouts. You never see those guys. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's a good point, DJ. Yeah, it definitely was good to see Dean and Baun make plays. Coach with knots at Independence. I feel you on missing it. Yeah, man. It's hard. Jay said like some days, man. Like it's once in a great while, right? Like you drive by a field, you see the practice going on. I still got my whistle too. I have a lanyard that I had made when I was in the military. When I was in the Navy, like the boatsmen that tie the knots and stuff, like they make these like really nice lanyards and stuff, and you can pay someone to make them for you. So I used to have this lanyard that I kept my whistle on and stuff. I still have that actually hanging up. So like, yeah, my niece likes to steal it. She's infatuated with it for whatever reason. Good morning, Coach. Why Howie just called the Jets and bring Greg back? Your thoughts? I don't know what it comes down to, James, in terms of the price. You know what I mean? Like, I think they got to figure out a price if that were to happen. The longer he stays out, he's not helping the Jets. And that becomes potentially, an irreconcilable situation where, there's no avenue or no path towards reconcile there. I think that becomes more of a probability, James. I definitely think that would be a situation you could see that happen. I thought Dean had a nice game, but should have had that pick 6. Yeah, I agree, Brian. Yeah, it's tough, man. What do you think about the Dallas Cowboys defense? Darlene, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I watched 22 on the Cowboys. I honestly, your game, I have NFL Sunday ticket, and I think your game was in market in North Carolina, so it wasn't on Sunday ticket, and I don't keep cable in my house. I just have I have it through YouTube Sunday ticket. So if it's not on there, like if I'm going to stream it, then I got to go to a streaming site on my laptop. So I haven't had a chance to really watch tape on you guys. I probably really won't get to your tape until we're a couple weeks out to playing the Cowboys, and then I'll run tape on you guys. DJ said Fangio has a complex system. He's probably not going to really open the playbook until his guys know their assignments like clockwork. That's a good point, DJ. We don't know exactly the extent to that yet in terms like what has been installed from the playbook standpoint there. Just a few things that stood out to me conceptually that I saw while looking at the 22, and I was like, okay, like I kind of see what the basis of the defense is a little bit here. I will say Fangio is leaning like the Eagles have kind of started to revolve a little bit into a little bit more man than what I think people realize, to be honest, DJ, in terms of the back end on coverage. I think we're all stuck in 21. You remember in 21, we had Steven Nelson, how much we were playing zone. Like, we were playing that 8.5, 9 yard off the zone because we were scared of Nelson getting beat over the top. I think a lot of us still have shell shock from that. And that's I think it's influencing a lot of our opinion, but like when you go look at the percentages, like Gannon 22 was running it in the upper 20%. Desai last year was running it in the 30 percentile. Vic traditionally runs it in about the 30 some percentile, which is closer to the upper third of the league. They're not like the top 5 or 6, but they're in the upper third area. So yeah, I mean, we are playing a little bit more man on the back 7 than what people I think realize. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. We ran the veer in high school. I was a wide receiver, and we threw the ball about 3 times a game. But I played linebacker on D. Yeah, Joe. I think we come from around probably a similar time frame. So I have some good memories playing defense. I did have a catch, but it was for a 5-yard out of bounds. Exactly. Like I was a quarterback, but I was technically like really just a glorified running back in high school, to be honest, because we ran a lot of read option. To be honest. That Dallas defense can be had. They played a sloppy Browns team. Yeah, the only thing I took away from that Browns game is that I don't know what's going on there with Deshaun Watson, but I don't think he's got it no more, bro. I think they should have paid. They should have paid the old guy there. They should have paid Flacco. Flacco at least was playing and had them in the playoffs, man. Like I don't know, man. That team. I'd put a post out. I'd put a post out on Twitter, which got misunderstood by a couple of Cowboy fans, which it's funny. Yeah, it happens. But I put a post out and I was talking about I said one of the most difficult matches to project tomorrow is the Dallas versus Cleveland game. Dallas is 0-4 last year as underdogs. They're 3-7 over the last 2 years. Tyler Guyton versus Myles Garrett is scary. You know, Deron Bland out. Kalen Carson has a banged up knee. And Dallas was 4-5 on the road last year and 8-9 over their last 2 years. But yeah, because they had them as like 4.5-point underdogs at one point. And I was like, 4.5 points is extreme for Dallas to be underdogs on the road in Cleveland. And I bet them. I bet Dallas. Dallas was not what killed me. But I was definitely having, my moment of doubt on the cross there, obviously, after I made the bet. Because, after I made the bet, then I was like, maybe I should go back and research why Vegas just put them as 4.5-point underdogs in week 1 to Cleveland. I'm like, because that's surprising to me. So I went back to go research it, and I was like looking at all the numbers and everything, and I'm like, Dallas is better than Cleveland, but now I don't feel confident in this pick. Like, I was like looking at it like Myles Garrett against a rookie. Yeah, that's a problem. Like, I mean, luckily though, Cleveland just basically crapped the bed. They turned the ball over, they crapped the bed, and yeah, Cincy, to get down to Eagle Realist. Yes, you got it, sir. 1,000%. Cincy cost me over $2,000, and they cost me $8,000 in another parlay. To be fair, it wasn't just Cincy. I lost on points in the Tennessee game. I had Tennessee with the points. So I lost on points on that one. And then I lost on the Cincy game on the $8,000 one. But on the $2,000 one, Cincy killed me on that one. I had everything right. Cincy killed me. Now, my wife is so mad. She was like, I can't do this. She's like, I don't know how you bet football. It's crazy. Like, you think you're going to win something, and then like they kick a field goal, or they don't go for the score at the end of the game. I'm like, yeah, it's the NFL. Like, that's part of the thing, is the evaluation, is to know when they're going for it and when they're not. Raj said, Steve, I moved from Philly to Pearland, Texas, and I would take my son to the Dallas games until they abuse us. So he's not going back. And I hate to drive by myself. I'm taking a mini vacation to see the Saints game. That's cool, man. Yeah, the Saints. That's a pretty cool stadium, man. I like to go to different stadiums as well. I had a friend when I was in the military, and he was from like the Poconos areas. I think it was like from like the Wilkes-Barre era. So like he was a New York fan. He was a Giants fan. I used to call him a traitor. But I remember he went with me one time when they first opened the link, and he was, and trying to antagonize people, with his Giants jersey, doing all this crap. I'm like, dude, I'm like, bro, when like 40 people jump down here, I can't help you. Like, a 40-on-2 is not numerically going to work out. But I don't know how some people enjoy that, sir, but there are some people that enjoy, stirring the pot. Deshaun Watson needs a massage table in the end zone to get motivated. Deshaun Watson made the house defense look good. He is cooked. Yeah, I didn't come away from that game feeling very confident about him. Now, I will say this. This is what I will say about week one. And I said it last week, too. It's the greatest liar in the NFL. But I don't feel confident about that, man. I'll say that now. Dang, DJ, they were playing old school on you. He said in high school, we played against a team that ran the wing T. Man, that was a nightmare. They made our linebackers look like the Three Stooges. They went old school on you, sir. Daryl said Browns played the backup tackle Sunday. Yeah, yeah. Oh, they played with backup tackles on Sunday. The Browns did? Huh. I feel like we all lost for the same team, Cincy, the Titans, Atlanta. Yeah, luckily the Atlanta game, I kind of stayed away from it. I would have probably bet Atlanta, to be honest. Atlanta would have killed my ticket if I would have bet, because I would have definitely bet Atlanta, but yeah, like I didn't, thankfully. Cameron said, Gate, what's your thoughts on Jalen Hurts' performance? Do you think he's still got to be great this season? I mean, if we want to win the Super Bowl, yes. I mean, if we just want to win a game in the playoffs, and Jalen can be average, and with the team and the talent we have around him, we could probably still win a game in the playoffs, to be honest. With that said, I think Jalen's expectations are greater than just win a single game in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure Jalen's locked in to try to win the Super Bowl, get back there and have that national stage again, get that opportunity once again. He's got to be better. I know yesterday I spoke up and I did defend him on the across the body throw and said that while it is taught, you are not supposed to do that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you as someone who coached quarterbacks that that's something that we preach or we teach kids to do. But I understood what he was conceptually trying to do. He saw it was going to be a jump ball, and that jump ball was going to be a one-on-one jump opportunity with A.J. Brown in the end zone. I get what he was trying to do, but just given the nature of the field conditions there, basically playing at a water park is essentially what it turned out to be. Probably wasn't the smartest throw to make in that moment, but I think he'll clean it up. I think, Jalen's the kind of guy that not much needs to be said to him after these type of games. Like, he knows. Coach Covey to the house this week. Book it. I got you, James. Zach was great. What an Eagles pickup. It's a steal. Yeah. I mean, I thought he would be good for us, original Kilo, when we signed him. And, I was pretty confident and I spoke pretty highly of him on Twitter. I got to tell you, I didn't think the guy would step right in and have, 2 sacks in the opening week. I didn't think that would be what was going to happen. But yeah. I mean, he's definitely, man. My guy Mike said, "Hooyah, Navy." ITCS retired. Oh, senior chief, huh? I meant, do you think he will be great with more? My bad. Yeah, I think this, it's hard to say, Cameron. I mean, it's hard to say definitively one way or the other. I think we got to give time for the scheme to evolve a little bit here in terms of like Jalen's full comprehension and not comprehension. It's not the right word. It's the full command over the system. I do think that right now against the blitz, we saw some very much some forward progress there. I do think that versus pressure, there's still a sense to try to, and I don't know what it is with these quarterbacks this week. It wasn't just Jalen Hurts, to be fair. In the game that we played, Jordan Love threw one deep and down the middle of the field and got it picked off. Past that one, last night, Brock Purdy got away with one where he threw it down the middle of the field into bad coverage. And he got away with one. Like, I don't know what it is with these quarterbacks, but in week one, that was like, I don't know if it feels like that's got to be a coaching point. That somewhere people are telling them to do that against certain looks. But man, those looks aren't there. I don't know what they're seeing. There's a lot of these guys making that mistake in week one. I think the Army football team still runs the wing T. I should have played for Army. Laugh aloud. Would have been fun. Cam Jurgens balled out after outside of that one snap. Fans are calling garbage just because of one play. Yeah, I'm not going to call the young man garbage based upon week one where, there's going to be some hiccups. It's being credited as a home game, but it was a home game in a road atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like, the fans don't realize to be quiet when the offense is up. Like, all the advantages you would have had of a home game are pretty much stripped away. So, like, in that sense, like, I got to give them some time to build that chemistry and, get it under control, man. Another great morning with Coach Steve. Thank you, brother. Stay safe, y'all. Much love and respect for y'all. Got to run. God bless. Hey, appreciate you, Joe. Eagles Real says, when Rodgers comes back, where should we put him since Mitchell played good outside? It's a great question, Eagles Realist. I still think that they're going to go with the plan they had, which is that Quignon's going to be their outside corner until they kick in for like nickel coverages, and then he's going to move inside. I guess is what they still plan to do, and then they'll kick Isaiah Rodgers outside in those nickel plays. But I mean, to be fair, Eagles Reals, we probably got to see it play out. You know, we got to see it be realized on the field, because I'm not too sure that I'm not too sure I got the answer yet, man. Zack Baun looks like a potential Pro Bowler. Sack Baun. Let me get that right. Sack Baun looks like a potential Pro Bowler. Coach, did Trotter Jr. play much? I don't believe he logged any snaps in terms of field play. Let me look up the snap counts again real quick. Can't remember if he logged any actual in-game snaps. I don't think he did, but he could have played special teams. Let me take a look real quick. All right, linebacker Zack Baun played 100% of the snaps. N'Kobe played 96% of the snaps. So yeah, there wasn't a lot of opportunity for anyone to play anything at linebacker. I'm scrolling down. Patrick Johnson, Ben Van Sumeren, Oren Burks, Jeremiah Trotter. Yeah, none of those guys actually played in game. I'd have to go back and look at special teams rep. I haven't done that yet in terms of looking at 22 for special teams reps and just see what their role is on special teams, James. But it doesn't look like he got in the game, you know, from an actual playing standpoint. Watch out for the Falcons, and the Falcons are not very good team, but they're better. Your defense ain't very good at all. If you say so. Raj is going to that game. You may see him. There is one quarterback that didn't get an interception. That may be Dak Prescott. Still struggled there, Darlene. Let's be honest. He may not have got an interception, but he threw a lot of turnover-worthy passes in that game. He didn't exactly have a great Sunday. Put Rodgers in the slot. Avante got cooked. I don't know if that, Cameron, I'm not going to hold him to what he said earlier on, but he did say earlier on that he's not really a slot player. And, he didn't really want to play the slot, but I mean, that could change given the circumstances. I mean, I don't want to be like, stringent. Like he said, you get what I'm saying. Like, got to let it play out. But I mean, he did earlier say that he didn't want to do it. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see if that changes now that they see Quignon on the outside. Both of the picks Hurts threw. There was someone open about 10 yards out. Trot played special teams reps. Appreciate it, Mike. Yeah, I figured he would be on the special teams. Him and Oren Burks, because they're both of those guys are kind of at least in the preseason, they were both pretty good players on the special teams units. And then, obviously Oren Burks came in with a reputation, being in the league as a good special teams player. Maddox is safety. Get him out of the slot ASAP. What's up, Pastor Drew? How you doing, buddy? My bad, showing up. The Browns dropped 3 picks Dak through. Exactly. He had a lot of turnover-worthy passes in that game. Pastor Drew said, imagine if Bradbury started for Mitchell on Sunday. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I think people would have lost their mind, Pastor Drew. I think people would have been very angry. We would have had a full-fledged mutiny on our hands. All right, guys, we've been going for a little over an hour. I got to sign off. I got to get out of here. I got a little bit of a small window of time before I got to go pick the baby up from daycare. But I appreciate y'all rocking out with me and watching a little bit of film early on. If you guys came in late, early on, I did break down some 22 from the game that I saw, just kind of showing you some of the concepts that we had heard reported all off season, just kind of giving you a heads up of showing you. I also showed you guys that want to get into content creation. I get a lot of these questions about how do you quickly skim through games to find, content to break down on the 22. I showed you how to do that, guys. If you go back earlier on there, you guys that were asking that type of question, you guys can see that early on in the video. I showed you exactly my process for how I do that. Field was so bad, it's hard to grade the performances. As a coach, you just want to see them execute the plays properly. DJ, I'm with you. That was my takeaway too. Is like I can't say anything about the defensive line until next week, until Monday night. then I think you can kind of critique it a little bit more. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all so much. We will be back tomorrow, 10:05. All right, y'all. We're getting ready to roll in, man. Week two. Got to start 2-0, guys. Got to keep that pressure on everybody. Peace. I'm out of here.